Yes, graduates, welcome to Hard Talk Podcast with HTK. Fasten your seatbelts. Hey, users and subscribers, welcome back to another episode of Hard Talk with HTK. Look here, one would the things but there's a catch up about, And first of all, we're gonna get the light things out of the way. Doggie. Me no know how much time I call your name, but for those of you who are not aware, Doggie has gone viral yet again for a video that shows him in an altercation, a physical altercation, with another fellow member of the Win party. Yes, this lady and Doggie kick off. I don't know what it was about, but the response of Doggie has garnered a lot of anger from many members of the public. But you know what? I am going to show you the video, but I'm also going to slow it down quite a bit because is Doggie wrong or was Doggie defending himself? Wanna tell me what you think? Because when I look at that video, at first I was like, but Doggie, you're bright, you're out of order. How you put your hand on a woman, which is never, something I condone. But let me tell you something about some of you women who like to square up to men. You need to be careful, right? You can't go chucking badness and think that every man is going to take it. Now, I'm not justifying Doggie's behavior here, but I'm saying there are men like Doggie that will not take a woman physically trying to assault them and act as though they're going to be gentlemen. No, lots of them will raise their hand to you and protect themselves, or they will counteract physically. And anything that you dish out, you have to be prepared to receive. So I'm not going to jump up and cuss him like this guy did in this video here.
With all due respect, me ain't got no respect. Doggie, this is top, not even top. This reach Evans rooftop. You understand? This is the highest form of Mary Mouse activity, Doggie. Like sometimes you forget like you's a grown-ass man, buddy. You big and you ain't got no fucking sense. You see, if anybody asks me what a Mary Mouse is, I refer them to this clip. That is the definition of a Mary Mouse. You know what it is? I think we've been letting you get away with a lot. This what's going on. From the time I see you put braces for you veneers, I should have known we should have let this shit stop. I know we should have let this stop. Now we got mouse activity brawling there. Like, it gotta stop. For real, it gotta stop. It's not cutable, man. It's not cutable. Nobody don't come and tell me Doggie's a scraper, Doggie's a dunce. Don't tell me none of those scunt. Doggie's a Mary Mouse.
But I'm going to just say there are better ways that things could have been handled, right? It never have to go like this. Restraining her is one thing that could have happened, and so on and so forth. Just avoiding the confrontation altogether. But yeah, take a look at the video with Doggie. And I would like to know in the comments, do you think Doggie was wrong? Or do you think that, listen, he was provoked and you can understand where he's coming from? Let me know in the comments. So people, do you see what I saw? At this point, the woman approached Doggie, put her finger in his face, and he slapped her hand away saying, don't put your hand in my face. And then things escalated from there. But when Doggie pulled his weapon, it's because the woman actually broke a bottle to try to stab Doggie. So Doggie decided that he was going to defend himself by drawing his weapon. But notice the weapon was used more as a threat and to ward her off, as opposed to an intention to shoot to kill or shoot to hurt or maim. And he could have done that, considering that she literally presented him with a threat. Now, unfortunately for Doggie, this influencer is in serious trouble. According to the recent press release, Bradley Sampson, aka Doggie, is now wanted by the police in connection with a string of serious offenses following a public disturbance at the Square of the Revolution on Tuesday. Sampson has gained popularity through social media for his bold personality and dramatic online videos, and he has been recently charged in connection with a brawl at Coffee Square. He is closely aligned with the businessman and the candidate for presidency, Azruddin Mohammed. Now, this don't look good. This don't look good at all, because we all know that Azruddin Mohammed seems to be the man of the people. And in a situation like this, when you are trying to gain and secure your popularity with the masses, the last thing you want is for a member of your team to be caught on camera or off camera assaulting a citizen of the country. Very, very bad look. Now, interestingly, I'm not sure if this is Mohammed himself or just a member of his team. They have, in fact, disputed whether or not Doggie is a member of their team. They've come forward and said Doggie was never a member of the party. This looks so bad. So Doggie, who we see sporting a Win t-shirt, Doggie, who we see getting all up involved in Win party's affairs, is not a member of the Win party. I could have swear I hear Doggie said that he's a scrapehead. But anyway, this is what was presented underneath a post that they made this morning about the incident. Take a look for yourself. But anyway, according to the Ghana Police Force, they're looking to question Doggie for several new offenses. And these include threatening behavior, threatening language, obscene language, disorderly behavior, assault, possession of firearm without a license, possession of ammunition without a license. And they are urging the police with any information to contact the nearest police station. Boy, Doggie, you not just do one court case a while ago, you and Fata. I know this. Brother, you need to keep yourself out of trouble. This isn't looking good. But you know what I'm impressed about more than anything else? And I am impressed by this. Because literally within 24 hours, here comes Mohammed. And when I tell you that this man knows how to respond when it's hot, I'm telling you it's the truth. So anyway, a statement was put out. It has come to my attention a few minutes ago, a matter involving Mr. Bradley Sampson and a young woman at the Square of the Revolution earlier today. I want to make it clear that the actions of Mr. Sampson are not in line with the values held by me or the Win Party. I wish to emphasize in the strongest terms that neither I nor the Win Party condone any form of violence, especially against women. I wish to publicly apologize to the young woman involved, as I have done in person as well. And here is a picture and the statement that was made on Facebook by Mohammed. Very impressive to accept and step out and represent on behalf of your party, and also to apologize to the victim so quickly rather than try to sweep it under the carpet and ignore the situation. I have to say that that is in fact very, very commendable. And you know what? Please don't come for me. HDK is very, very dubious when it comes to all politicians. I don't care who it is. I don't care how they appear, how nice they appear. I just feel like all politicians have an agenda, and I don't trust until I see you in office, you in power, actually delivering what you're supposed to deliver. And I've been so disappointed by previous elections, even in my own country, here in the UK, much less in Jamaica, where people say they're going to do things and they don't manifest. That I just am a doubtful Thomas when it comes to that. However, everybody's been trying to convince me. Some of my key people on my channel, they've been trying to convince me this man is a good man, he's a righteous man.
The people want me to run. My life is not about power and the title and the ranks. And let's be straight. Most of the politicians, they're going in there to see what they can get.
All right.
Positive.
I have no need to hustle anyone. I already, live in a comfortable life.
Jeez.
And my life is to empower the people, empower the children, our senior citizens, single mothers, and everyone.
Right.
Regardless of race, religion, or political belief.
That's right.
Because all of us here, and all of us in this country, was either a PPP, or a PNC, or an AFC.
Okay.
So we got to put aside that. And we want to work together.
Yes.
And that's why my party is the only multi-ethnic party. The rest can boast that their party is the only party, with all races. But we know that is not so. I don't look at race, I don't look at face, I look to help everybody. And that's why we named the party We Invest in Nationhood. The party speaks for itself. The party speaks for itself. We invest in the people.
Man. But I must say I respect this move. I totally respect this move because, it was instantaneous and it was, no mincing around, straight to the point, an outright public apology and a private apology as well, and a complete, a complete condemnation of Doggie's behavior. So, Doggie, you are, from what I can see here, on your own. And this is how it is. Whenever you decide to take the law into your own hands, you will have to face those consequences independently. Now, within a matter of moments after Adriana Young's aunt made it clear that the records of Adriana were indeed fraudulent and falsified, and she suspects that this was a government initiative led by the PPP in order to disregard the efforts of her deceased niece, the Ministry of Education came out with a press release. So I'm going to read it through for you. I did post it in a short, but I'm conscious that people may have struggled to actually read it. And I know a lot of my audience like to hear things read to them. So I'm going to read it to you. So according to the press release that was given by the Ministry of Education in response to Amika Lewis, that was released on the 15th of July, it says, the Ministry of Education has noted a most unfortunate and fallacious statement issued by a candidate of We Invest in Nationhood, so directly pointing it to Win, Amika Lewis. Her statement, which questions the National Grade 6 assessment result of Adriana Young, was clearly meant to excite emotions by exploiting the death of an innocent child. This is reprehensible and has serious consequences. The Caribbean Examinations Council CXC sets, manages and marks the National Grade 6 Assessment, NGSA. This has been happening since 2016. If one were to bring into question CXC processes and qualifications, then one would bring into disrepute and into question every single Guyanese and Caribbean citizen or person who ever got CXC qualifications and certificates. This has serious consequences for young people and their entrance into tertiary institutions locally and abroad and into places of employment. It is selfish and reckless to jeopardize the future of all of our young people for some cheap political points. The other reality is that Adriana Young was registered to write the NGSA at Metten Mir Zorg Islamic Academy. Her parents removed her from the school and sent her to Parika Salem Primary School after her registration for the NGSA. She therefore wrote the assessment as a walk-in candidate at Parika Salem Primary School, something that is allowed. When this happens, a different candidate number for this different exam center is issued to the candidate on the exam day. Each child is required to answer 4 questions per subject at the paper 2 level, except for English, where 1 essay or letter is written. Each child's scripts are marked by at least 13 people, as each question is marked by different persons seated at different tables in different rooms. Each child's scripts are then remarked by at least another and a different 13 people who are not at the same table or even necessarily in the same room. This entire process is managed and done by CXC. Paper 1, the multiple choice questions, is sent to Barbados and marked by a machine. Changing a grade would require the collaboration of an enormous amount of professionals inside and outside of Guyana. It simply is not possible. The child who topped the country did not drop a single mark. She earned 100%. The bar was set high, and the reality is that anyone who lost more than 13 raw marks relative to subject performance could not get into any of the national schools in 2025. We will not divest ourselves of the responsibility we have to maintain confidentiality of children's scores and or their academic history to make a point or at all, but we ask this political candidate aunt to look inward and be honest. We also ask political candidates during this period to be responsible in their pronouncements. Our children deserve no less. End. So this was from the Ministry of Education. So they're basically saying that it was a mere technicality that Adriana ended up with a completely different candidate number as a result of her moving schools and also as a result of her sitting the exam as a walk-in candidate as opposed to a fully registered one. So she ended up with, I would imagine, something that would qualify as a temporary candidate number because she had not yet properly registered at Parika Salem Primary School. And that had she remained at the Metanmir Zorg Islamic Academy, she would have had the same candidate number and remained with such. So I went on to Amika Lewis's page, hoping to see a further explanation as to why it is that she has basically declared that her niece was in fact cheated out of her correct results. And I received and I noticed that she put up a statement shortly after the press release stating Adriana'S case was not an isolated one. Other pupils were moved from one school to another school, were able to access their results using the same candidate number. Now, I know that everybody's emotions are quite high when it comes to Adriana Young's situation, especially the relatives of Adriana who are desperately looking for justice. But I do believe that sometimes emotions can cloud the understanding or the judgment of situations. And I'm willing to, on this case, kind of give a more objective perspective that it could simply be the situation of using a number, a candidate number for a child that's not fully registered. And that's how the results have ended up being moved on from the previous candidate results, candidate number. The thing is, though, that if a child has moved school and they have changed candidate numbers, then that candidate number should be stricken off. It should be stricken off, and it shouldn't be accessible at all. They should not be able to look into that pre-existing candidate number when she has gone on to do her results in a completely different one. Either that, or it should be the case that the same candidate number should move with the child from school to school. It shouldn't be the case that you need to have a completely new number generated for a child when the child has moved schools so that you can track where the child has moved from and to. So, that particular case is showing me that there are some loopholes in the system. And in addition to that, previous candidate numbers should not be accessible by staff or anybody else to then identify to see what results were then attached to this number. You shouldn't be passing this old candidate number on to another child who can then access it and gain completely different results. Those things are recipes for confusion and disaster. And this is exactly what has happened in this case. Now, one thing for certain that I see is that Amika really loved her niece and she is fighting with all her might. Every day she uploads another status or shares another status where she keeps Adriana Young's memory to the forefront of the minds of the Guyanese people. This is commendable in itself. Now, the latest update in the Adriana Young case has come from Dr. Dexter Todd himself. Allegedly, the foreign pathologist is now in possession of Adriana Young's autopsy report. So, Dr. Terry, who conducted a second autopsy on the 11-year-old child, is currently conducting a comparative review of her own findings against the autopsy performed in Ghana. And this development, it now marks a further step in uncovering the circumstances surrounding Adriana'S death. Now, isn't it interesting how it was first stated that the report was already in the hands of Dexter Todd? If you remember, there was a whole hullabaloo about the fact that there was no lack of transparency and that Dexter Todd had already signed for and received a copy of the autopsy report. Then how is it that all of a sudden the report has actually been physically handed over recently, and it is now forwarded to Dr. Carol Terry? I can assure you that this was just the Guyana police force covering up for what they tried to withhold in terms of information, and that was not legal to do so. So, according to Dexter Todd, Dr. Terry is now going through the report. She's going through it bit by bit with her observations and with her assessment. And she's doing what is called quality assurance, whether that test was done at its best quality. He's made it clear that he does not know when Dr. Terry's report will be available because of the absence of the toxicology report. So you try to tell me, say, that after all of this, them still never do a toxicology report to determine whether or not the liquids, the fluids are on the child's body, inside the child's body matches that of the pool? That is ridiculous. And to determine whether or not she was actually rendered unconscious before her life was taken? This is a disaster. That this was not done, so it's an incomplete autopsy report. So, according to Dr. Todd, while some toxicology findings are briefly mentioned in the autopsy report, the complete results have not been released to the family. So we are still at the stage where the toxicology findings are being released bit by bit. Why is it that the rest of the toxicology report has not been fully released so that Dr. Terry can complete her analysis in detail? Why is this still missing? Now, this again is pointing to yet another cover-up, because it's not about the fact that Adriana died. It's about how she died. And they are not wanting a full picture painted to the public about the manner of death, not the cause of death. Because we all know that we can narrow it down that the cause of death is drowning. But did she drown in the pool? Did she drown somewhere else? Did she drown in a different liquid? Was she suffocated? Was there something else that took place? Did she have any chemicals in her system that rendered her unconscious? Those are the kind of questions that need to be answered in order to completely eliminate whether or not foul play was at hand. And to remove some of the findings of the toxicology report is a highly dubious thing to do, because you are straight away casting doubt on whether or not you were transparent in the first autopsy to begin with. Not a good look at all. Now, while it is that Dr. Dexter Todd is doing his best for this family and trying to ensure that that little girl receives justice, here comes Freddie Kissoon, who is a columnist, basically trying to slate Dexter Todd's reputation. He released a opinion piece on the 15th of July, and according to his editorial, he thinks Dexter Todd's investigator's visa should be revoked. I'm going to read for you some of what this man wrote in his opinion piece. I had an argument with Kian Jabor and the leader of ANUG, Dr. Mark France, on the Freddie Kissoon show about the qualifications of Dexter Todd. I don't know about Mr. Todd's qualifications, and so I refused to accept what France and Jabor was telling me about his training. France told me on air that I was ignorant of Todd's qualifications, which he, France, said he was familiar with because he saw Todd's curriculum vitae. I haven't seen Todd's CV and I am not interested in seeing it. Then, oh yeah, doubt the man qualifications. You know, want to see the history of the man's academic or professional career. So why are you instantly doubting it? Anyway, let me continue reading. I judge the quality of Todd based on his role as the family lawyer to the Adriana Young family. Here is a list of Mr. Todd's failings that makes me advise Guyanese not to vote for him since Todd wants to become a parliamentarian. Hey, so straight away we're seeing the angle that this person is using. He is wanting to discredit him because of political gain. Let's keep reading. 1. Todd, as I have repeated in a column on him last week, should have been sued for libel by the 3 pathologists that did the original autopsy. Even a 10th rate lawyer knows that if you repeat a scandalous statement published by someone, you are liable to be sued for slander. Todd told this nation that the Young family thinks that those 3 pathologists were infiltrated and thus they rejected their findings. Even a 10th rate lawyer knows that this is an aspersion on the men's character. 2. Todd told this nation that the autopsy was open to question because the pathologists could have been under stress based on crowd confusion at the Georgetown hospital. Then, sir, you wouldn't under stress too if beer gunshot a fly outside when you were trying to conduct your investigations. I think that's a reasonable conclusion to be made. 3. The police are contradicting Todd using euphemisms rather than calling him a liar. The police have made their accusations twice against Todd. The first time was months ago when they contradicted what Todd told the public after the police had a meeting with Todd. The police rejected the version told to the media by Todd. So this is going right back to the whole thing of not receiving the autopsy report, right? The second accusation came last week when the crime chief contradicted Todd by informing the nation that as a generous, open gesture to the nation, the police overlooked protocol and gave Todd the original autopsy report. Yet Todd has publicly said he is not in receipt of the documents. I have not heard Dexter Todd say he's not in receipt of the documents. I heard him say he's not in receipt of the full documents. Correct me if I'm wrong, graduates, in the comments. What did he say exactly? Is it that he did not receive it at all, or is it that the full autopsy report was being withheld by the police? Because I'm pretty certain that's what I understood. You understand? Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me. 4. Mr. Todd cannot escape the description of his behavior as being comical after his last bizarre, shambolic, dystopian, asinine mouthing off. But it sounds very personal, da brother ya. Him sound very personal, Frederick Kissoon. You sound like you have gripe. You have problems with this brother. This is not a professional. Anyway, let me keep reading. Mr. Todd informed the Guyanese people that an international investigating team is in Guyana to probe the Adriana Young death, but the identity of the team is a closely guarded secret. Yes, it is good it is a guarded secret. You don't know why? Because your system has shown that you tend to intimidate. You tend to be aggressive. You tend to try to corrupt, to pay off, to scheme, and to silence people. Huh? Come on now. Wasn't this your streets when they were busy doing, trying to actually celebrate or encourage people to vote and align themselves with win? Isn't this what your police officers were doing? Let me just remind you.
So we out here this afternoon just putting up our flag like every other Guyanese, and this is what's going on. The police come to stop us. I think as a Guyanese woman, I got the right to represent whichever party I choose. It's my constitutional rights. So this is what's going on now. We're in Ideal Road.
I will represent that. I will represent that.
Sanction man, everybody know your sanction man party. Yes.
Y'all could drive up the line and
Y'all could drive up the line and see.
y'all could drive up
The person is giving you wrong information. Yeah, man, no flag, no cross, we won't allow that.
Okay. So anyway, he goes on to say, but more asininity, more comicality, more miasma flows. Todd said that when this secret unknown team is finished with its work, Todd will submit their findings to the Guyana Police Force, and the DPR could anyone be more barefaced and sillier than Dexter? No, so this brother in feisty, very bright, very out of order. The police and the DPP accept the report and said thank you from a team the public does not know anything about. Is this the man who wants to be part of the government of Guyana after September 2025? Is this the man that if the PNC wins that may become the Attorney General? I say unapologetically, CN Sharma will make a better AG. Who is CN Sharma, guys? Is this PPP? Because this guy is reading like he's talking from the PPP. I don't know him. You guys need to tell me who this guy is. But what about the family of Adriana Young? Are they happy that an investigating group is in Guyana and no one in Guyana, maybe except Todd, knows who or what these people are? Yes, they're happy. In case you haven't realized it, Amika Lewis, who is one of the biggest representatives for the Adriana Young family, has been publicly thanking God that Dexter Todd is taking the lead and achieving justice. So, in case you don't realize it, the family is very much happy that you don't know who these people are. Isn't the family aware that such a farce is bound to stain their daughter's name and their name too? No, it's not going to stain anything, not when justice is the aim. She's already dead and buried, but her name must not die, and her case must not be buried. And that's what they're working to achieve. In which country a secret school of forensic investigators descend upon the scene to investigate a tragedy that made headlines in the region and further abroad, and their identity has to be kept invisible? Many, many, many. Have you never heard of Secret Service, Secret Police? You've never heard of them? So you think that Scotland Yard is going to walk into a room and say, hello, I am from Scotland Yard and I'm here to investigate a major crime scene? No. They're not going to do that. They're going to come in here and they're going to be dead quiet. They're going to blend in. They may look like you or I, and you'd never know that these people are in fact investigating. So come on, let's not be stupid here. Doesn't Todd feel that this is an explanation that must be given? No, he doesn't need to explain anything to you because you're not his client. There has to be a reason why the team's composition cannot be made public. My position on this unknown school of investigators is that they should not have been given work permits by the Guyana government if they cannot tell the public what their status and their past professional work are, so they can be researched. You're digging. What if it's actually Guyanese people? They don't need any work permit then, do they? Anyway, let's keep going. Guyana knows the name of the 3 original pathologists, the identity of the 4th pathologist, and the former RCMP forensic specialist. My advice to the police to revoke the visas of this team. They may be here for political purposes. And that is the problem with this article, because this man is more concerned about the fact that Mr. Todd is a PNC candidate in the national election than he is with the actual justice for Adriana. This is a load of bollocks. I'm saying that in a very British way, but that's exactly what it is. It's such rubbish. And yeah, a definite personal smear campaign against Dexter Todd. I am fully in Dexter Todd's corner, and I think he's doing a fantastic job. Yes, keep them secret. Don't tell us so. Don't tell anybody who they are. No, keep it quiet. Now, if you recall, the whole thing with Haley Comet and the whole pasa with Sir Brian, etc., etc. Well, you know, things have gotten to another level now, and Haley has recently come out and she's made it clear that she's going to take away herself from the personal elements attached to the case. I'm really glad that she has made this decision because, Haley, listen, none of us are wishing bad for you on this case. We expect as many voices as possible to be raised up across the world globally for justice for Adriana. The more voices that echo this thought, the better. However, we have got to be careful not to get too emotionally invested, too caught up, and cause distress to the family. Now, interestingly, there was this post on TikTok, and yeah, it's yet another one of the hate campaign posts against Haley Comments. But I'm going to let you listen to it, and then I'm going to show you something, yes, that just might shock you. But just listen to this video.
But I have to say, they've not done anything in the name of Adriana. And you may live in Guyana, but you're still not free to do anything because you're in a state where it's just full of corruption. So no matter what I'm doing, whether you feel like it's a little bit or a lot, I'm helping. And you know, the family have asked me to stay on the case. I spoke to Sir Brian yesterday. I said, look, I know loads have happened in the last couple of days. Even if you want me to step away from the case, I'm probably not going to at this point. He said I would never ask you to step away from the case anyway. Everything was fine. So if the parents aren't mad at me, the family aren't mad at me, and then including they're not mad at me for mentioning Carol and Stefan, then why, I don't.
Okay, so now that you have seen this, I would like you to take a look at this comment. This comment was actually made by the relative of Amika, Alana, as in Alana Trotz, the woman whose name is behind the GoFundMe for Adriana. And in this, she is blatantly saying that, listen, we have asked her to leave the case alone. It's terrible to imagine that she's being fought not just by people who are against her on the internet, but also by members of the family as well. And when I saw this video that the aunt was responding to, I said to myself, wow. So Haley is being given one impression, but yet the family members have another. This is a good reason why Haley should actually completely step away and just focus on the actual facts that are attached to the case, anything as it releases, and just keep updating her audience and supporters of the Justice for Adriana movement this way, and just literally do not touch those family members. I think that it's not necessary. It's one thing to have an informant come to you. It's another thing when your face, your brand is representing information that may very well be misinformation or emotionally tainted information that takes away from your objectivity and your ability to reason out a case without being judged as a troublemaker. We wouldn't like that for you at all, Haley. We just want you to be able to help to get the word out there that this child has not been treated fairly by the systems in place, and that there are failings not just in systems but also from particular family members who were present with her on the day. And as the case evolves and information is put out there, it's also about raising that awareness so that this doesn't happen to yet another child, be it in our diaspora or anywhere else. This is what we're more keen on, rather than hearing about personal things to do with the family, which can be a major distraction for the movement, which is about justice for Adriana. So yeah, as I said, she came out and she did this video, which I really and truly appreciate. I wish Haley good luck as she continues with her true crime blogging, not to be deterred by the haters. And trust me, she has received absolutely so much hatred on this case.
Afternoon, guys. Hello. I've been sick for the last couple of days. Taylor was poorly on the way down to Exmouth where we went the other day. My eyes are so poorly, I'm so tired. Yeah, Taylor was sick on the way down, and then I was sick when we got back, but I should be back around later. There's so many cases going on at the moment I'm so invested in and I need to speak about. There's also a couple of situations that have happened online over the last couple of days that need to be spoken about. A couple of people that need to be held to account as well for some of their weird behaviour. So I will be back on later today. I have made a decision to keep fighting for justice for Adriana because I think I'm probably one of the loudest voices in her campaign for justice. And I think I'm perhaps one of the only places where I tell you the truth. Like, I tell you the truth, whether it's something's going to upset people, whether it's something people want to hear. I've told you everything from the day one. Everything I told you has later been confirmed by Amika, about the grandmother, about Stefan, and all the hatred I took in the beginning, which was mad. I got so much hatred for saying Brian's mother was probably involved and Stefan, and now everybody's saying exactly the same thing. So I've always been a little bit of a person who's like, justice is so important that I won't get distracted. So I just say it how I see it. And quite often that would just turn out to be proven later on, and I'll just take the hate in the meantime, knowing that sooner or later I'll be proved right. For me, it's about justice for Adriana, not even about being proved right, but it's important that we do put out the truth and we do get to the heart of exactly what happened to her. I've made a decision to come away completely from Adriana'S family. Now, I have no ill will feeling towards them. I have no anger towards them anymore. I literally have no other reason from kind of just blocking and moving on, other than I want to fight for justice for Adriana and not be disrupted. I don't want to keep losing focus. I don't want conversations to keep being about what Fat said, what Sobriety said, what this happened. I just want to focus purely on justice for Adriana. And I think I've never truly been accepted by a lot of people in this case. And I think most of you probably know why that is. And I'm fed up of trying to prove myself. I'm fed up of every single day trying to prove to people that I only want to help. And it's mentally exhaust you sometimes when, you're constantly trying to prove that, that I've got no other fight in this other than justice for Adriana. I proved back on day one, you can scroll back through my videos, that I don't make money on videos from Guyana. Even on my videos that have hit 1 million views of Adriana, I've got paid $3. I'd be much better off doing cases from the UK or America where I get paid full money off TikTok for those videos. I'm literally losing money every single month by covering Adriana'S case, but the little girl has my heart. There are people in Guyana who have been so accepting towards me, so lovely, and there have been other people that will never accept me, probably because of the colour of my skin and where I live. And that's the truth. That's the truth in this case. And it's hard to accept that, but I cannot get bogged down by this constant noise in the background. And you never really know, not so much the family, but people online, you never know whether they're politically activated, activated, that's not the word I wanted, motivated, politically motivated, or whether they just don't believe something happened to Adriana. You just never know. So I made the decision to just move forward and just not have any communication with the family anymore, because I just think maybe in the end, when we've got some kind of justice, maybe there'll be conversations then, but until then, I just can't keep proving myself anymore. But I'm back online today.
In many cases, like I said, I have to be objective with this. It's understandable from certain perspectives, but I do genuinely believe that Hayley's heart is in the right place, and she just wants justice for this child. So I'm going to just leave her to it. And of course, I will continue to update you, my graduates, as things evolve, right? If you have made it thus far into this episode of Hard Talk, please hit the like, share and subscribe button. Do not just watch the video, but like the video. So many of you watching, the likes are not enough. We need to raise the visibility of these videos so that the information gets bounced up on the YouTube algorithms. That's the only reason why we ask you to like. At the end of the day, you can come and you can enjoy the content, but do show your appreciation if you keep returning by simply hitting the like button. Don't forget to share and subscribe as well if you're new to my channel, and hit that bell so every time I drop a video, you get notified. Big up your nice clean self. This is your girl, Head Teacher K, and I'm out.